Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Digital to Dice podcast. I am Dave.
I'm Ron.
And Ron, today we have episode 197.
Sounds like some boutique in a dead mall, doesn't it?
It does.
If you go shopping at 197, you get 2 belts for the price of 4 or something like that.
Speaking of dead malls, there's a whole series of them that people do on YouTube, and one of them was the mall right up the street from me.
I saw that.
And I was like, holy cow.
Too.
It's like, holy cow, that's right up the street. And I went to that mall as a kid, and he's walking through it. So me, my wife, and her sister were all sitting there, and it's like, is that what it really looks like today? Because none of us really go in there anymore. Because it's got a Best Buy, and it's got a Kohl's and things like that, all on the outside. But if you go on the inside, everything's boarded up.
They're putting apartments where I used to work, which the mall's no longer there. And I put my name in over there.
Oh, really?
So that would be kind of cool to have lived in a place where you used to work. There's a great Facebook meme that's out there. And, so, retirement homes for Gen Xers. They should take some of these dead malls, open up the Orange Julius, put in the arcade.
Oh, yeah, I love
and the
that.
record store, and we'd all be right back to where we were when we were 15, 16 years old.
Yep, that's a great idea. I like that.
I love it. I love it.
So anyway, it's 197 is the episode today. Ways to get a hold of us, digitaltodice.com. It's our website where we post a lot of information about the show. 978-751-DICE is the text line. digitaltodice@yahoo.com is our email. And over on Facebook, join the discussion, facebook.com/groups/digitaltodice. Now, in today's episode, usually we keep things kind of light and fun, and we talk about some good things here. But we are going to talk about something that that we don't want to talk about, but we do have to talk about, and that's respecting others' opinions is what we're going to call this here. So if somebody likes a game and you don't, and you like a game and they don't, you don't necessarily have to correct anybody into liking your game or correct somebody into not liking a game. It's just we've seen some things in the last, since I've been doing this here.
It goes way back.
Oh, it goes way back,
back, yeah.
And it's, I guess it's human nature. This is not, just local to the sports sim community by any means. It's everywhere. But we got a small community here. And anytime you have a small community and you see some things that happen, it's like, we just need to stop this because it doesn't look good to people from the outside.
What, you don't think that the engine, the SD70 iMac, is the best train engine ever? I don't understand. We're done.
Yeah.
We're just done.
Well, it's everything. Every hobby has its thing there. And, and every now and then it flares up over here. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about respecting others' opinions and how to do it, I would say, properly. We're just in such a divisive time in this country where everybody feels they throw a bomb, they drop the mic, and I won the argument. No, there was no argument. There was no discussion because you ended it. You ended it with your statement and throwing the mic down and throwing the bomb. You ended any discussion that we can have. So I think we need more discussion and less bomb throwing and less, posts, whether it's, Delphi or Facebook or wherever else you post there, any of the forums. It's like we need to respect others' opinions and move on. And we got some great examples that Ron and I don't always agree on everything.
That's right.
And we're going to talk about that today and just how we get around it, is how we do it. So we're going to be talking about that today. Before we do, should we get into what we're playing?
Yes. I apparently need supervision because my cat has decided to join us for this episode. Now, before we get started, Miss M has not been feeling all that well. She's had a bacterial and fungal infection in all 4 paws. And it's been kind of a scary couple of weeks, on top of my wife falling and getting a concussion. I mean, this was just not a fun time here at Shea Burlington.
Not for the women, that's for sure.
Not for that's right, for the men. But the cat has been given some medications, and she's doing a lot better. Today, I guess she just wants to hang out.
Oh, so, that's good. That's good. You got to get her off the catnip. That stuff can, I tell you.
Well, don't you tell her that. We took away her treats.
Yeah, we've had to do the same with our dogs. At some point, it's like, okay, we got to stop feeding them all this good stuff. And they hate it because at night they sit there. They won't even eat their dinner. Instead of eating the dinner, they take a couple bites. Like, all right, where's the treats? It's like, no, you got to eat the vegetables before you can have.
Just like the 5-year-old. If you don't eat if you don't eat your spinach, you're not getting your ice cream.
Yeah. Speaking of spinach, I had a spinach omelet this morning.
You told me that.
I did. I cooked it. You ever cook spinach? It's hilarious. You get these big leaves.
It shrinks.
They're the size of like a palm tree leaf. And you put them in the pan.
It's going to be so full after you're eating that stuff. Yeah,
and they shrink down. You need to fill the pan with all the spinach leaves, because when it shrinks all down, there's nothing. It all disappears. It's hilarious.
Yes,
but it works well in an omelet. It really does. It works well in an omelet. All right. I'll kick off what I'm playing first.
Literally.
Yeah. I've still been playing the Pro Strategy Football, the 1978 season. I'm in the playoffs, and I just played the wild card games. And late last night, I did finally play one of the divisional games, and I'm glad I played it close to midnight last night, because it was a dog. It was a dog. I think
Chicago, right?
It was Chicago at the Rams. Chicago actually won the division.
2 great quarterbacks, Bob Avellini and is it Hayden?
Pat Hayden, yeah. I was a Pat Hayden guy back in the day.
Hayden was their only decent quarterback, although it's Ferragamo who won the Super Bowl.
I think Avellini threw 20% on the game. It's amazing how the quarterbacks are just as bad as the kickers sometimes. And so I think it was something like 30-0, and then Chicago got a late touchdown to make it 30-7. But it was just a 23. It was just a blowout. It really was. It was Rams. They shut them out to the last drive, and it was just we didn't even bother throwing anymore. It was just hand off to Walter Payton over and over and over and over, and let him just.
Well, that's what they did.
Yeah, because Avellini.
That's what they did in real life.
Yeah. So we did play that last night. I've had some fun times with this. I did realize though, I went back and looked, and when I set this up for 1978, I played the 1979 schedule. Don't know how I did it. And I did hear that the new version was going to make it a little bit easier to pick your schedule. So maybe it was confusing when I set this up and just picked 79 instead of 78.
September 14th.
Yep, so we got about 17 days for that to come out and see the new one there. Somehow I messed it up, but again, it still was fun. We hit some of the teams hit right on, and some of the teams did much better, and that's probably why, because they played a different schedule than they should have. Maybe it was an easier schedule.
You were talking about the Bengals making your wild card.
Yeah.
And there's a channel on YouTube, which again I will not mention in case the NFL is listening. Please send me a check. And he posted a Seattle-Kansas City game from 1978 in Kansas City with wives and girlfriends watching. Okay. Just one of those late season affairs in Kansas City. And you talked about Cincinnati being a wild card team for you. Well, at that point in the real season, they were 1-10.
Oh yeah.
It's if you know the channel, you do, because I've sent you stuff from it before. It's a young Marv Albert, I think even pre-toupee Marv Albert, or beginning part of a toupee, with Paul McGuire.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah. So again, people who had early betas or VCRs. Apparently someone had one in the Seattle area, because there's all sorts of late 70s Seattle games floating around on the tube.
I've watched a few. I was watching one of the Buccaneer games at Cincinnati. It was kind of fun to watch.
So
who was the guy that was like, oh my?
Dick Enberg.
Okay. Yeah, Enberg, yeah.
So you've still had fun with that.
I've had so much fun with that. It kind of got me out of my gaming funk. It's been kind of hot and sticky out, and to a point where I haven't really had the attention span to set up a cards and dice anything in about a month or so. So this has been fun to kind of at least play my games. I realized how much fun that game was. It really was. I did have a couple of things that I'm having problems with, and I made a big mistake last night where on any kind of special teams, kicks, punts, kickoffs, if there's a fumble, the team that gets the ball doesn't celebrate. Like, when you're playing a running play or whatever, and there's a fumble.
Pro strategy football.
Yeah. So what'll happen is the team that recovers a fumble will get up and they start celebrating. You see them, yay. So you know who has the ball. Well, on kicks and punts, if there's a fumble, there's no celebration. So I'm thinking that team that the fumble got it back. And last night there was a flag on a play, and Chicago got the punt. Now this is late in the game. The game's over anyway. I think it was. And so Chicago fumbles it. And I thought they got it back. So it says, well, I'm going to decline the penalty on the punting team and just take the ball. Well, it turns out that wasn't the case. The Rams recovered it, and they had the ball in Chicago territory, so I should have declined the penalty. I don't think it affected the outcome of the game. I think the Rams are still going to win.
In a 30-0 game? No.
Yeah. But still was the idea of it that, man, how did I not pick up on the fact that, because when it come up, it said, do you want to accept the penalty or decline the penalty? And it probably did say it would be Rams ball, blah, 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 blah. But so I hope they do a better job in the new version on the kicking part of the game. If there's a fumble, really show who gets it. If the other team gets it, celebrate it like they do on a running play. Because it's not the first time that I've had a fumble on either a kickoff or a punt, and I thought the team just recovered it, and I looked why does this team have the ball? Because they recovered the fumble, and I didn't realize. So now I have to pay closer attention now to what's going on after any kind of fumble at all. Because I've been having a lot of fumbles, but the team's been recovering it. So I'm just, unless I see the celebration, and it's a neat little video celebration that happens.
It's cute.
And then that, hey, the defense got the ball. But it doesn't do that on the kicks. And so, or at least I don't think it does because I didn't pick up on it. So I screwed that up a couple of times. But aside from that, it's been a blast. I did have a glitch. Of course, it was in the New England Patriots game when they were playing the Bengals. And the Patriots are driving late in the game, just running out the clock. They're at the Cincinnati 35 or something. Just a run up the middle, and they fumbled it. And Cincinnati picks it up and runs it back 10 or 15 yards the other way. So now Cincinnati's got the ball with 2 minutes left, and for some reason it locked me into the wishbone formation. And
Kansas City ran a wing T that year. Their quarterbacks got hurt.
Yeah.
And so in 78, there was an NFL team running an offense from 1941.
Interesting.
And so the wishbone was all the Raven college ball in the mid-70s, so it wasn't that far off the mark.
I was running the wishbone, and it was just weird that every time I tried to run it, I couldn't run it with any of my backs. It was the quarterback keeping. So I think it was, because it was late in the game, it was almost thinking I was trying to kneel down.
And you can't kneel that early.
No, but because of the fumble, it was the losing team that had it. So I think somehow it glitched out where the losing team got the ball. It was thinking that it maybe didn't recognize the fumble, so it kept going into quarterback kneel mode. So I threw a couple of long passes from the wishbone. It didn't work. So then I finally went into advanced mode, and I was able to set up the play that way. And I don't like to do that because I want to be consistent and play casual mode. I've been doing that the entire time, but I had to go in there and do that. And then they threw a couple of passes that were incomplete, and New England won the game. But, of course, it was the New England game, and, of course, all the Patriots and blah, 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 snowplow incident and the whole bit. I'm hearing all that. But it just kind of added to the story that we had a glitch. And it turned out, that
it happens.
Yeah. But who knows? I mean, but I ran the safest play possible, just a middle run up the middle to kill the clock, and they fumbled it. So it's that kind of set the whole thing in motion.
Joe Pistarchik understands your frustration.
I know. I think it was a fumble from the snap because I watched the replay. It didn't show the
handoff. It happens.
But the other thing too is I need to find out, and I'm hoping to get Kerry back on the show and talk about the game. Is that when I did this, I wasn't sure what to do when they were locked into this wishbone. So I said, well, maybe it's a glitch, but I says, as far as I know, this is just a visual representation of what the play maybe did, because every run in casual is to the right. There's really not a lot of runs to the left. So I don't know if you're constantly going over right guard or if this is just kind of showing you what's kind of happening. Okay, so if you gain 3 yards, we're going to show you a 3-yard gain. It's just always going to be the right. Now I know if you go advanced, you can kind of pick and choose a little bit more, but I'm just playing casual because it's easier and faster. So I got to find out, is it always going to the right in casual mode, or is that just showing you the end result of the play? And so when I had the people in the wishbone, I said, well, this has to just be a glitch, and they're really not in the wishbone. And then when I finally went into advanced and changed it up, I said, well, maybe it was. I'm not sure. So I got a couple of questions asked those guys when we set it up to see to see what the deal is with that and why I couldn't get it out of the wishbone formation until I went to advanced mode. But anyway, it's been fun. So I got 7 teams left. The Rams advanced. I have Green Bay at Dallas, Miami at Oakland and New England at Pittsburgh left to play before we go into the conference championship games. But it's been fun. Again, I'm just doing a lighthearted approach to this. I play both offenses. I just let the computer pick the defense, and I just have some fun with it. And I find that of all the games, the computer PC games, I have the most fun with this one. Now, you can argue stats and everything all day long, and, you can make points for this game or that game or the other game. But this particular game,
you enjoy it.
I enjoy it. It's just fun. And, that, and then we can, that'll kind of lead us into respecting others' opinions later on in the show here as we talk about that. But for me, it's fun. It's a nice light game for me to play over the summer that I can just kind of enjoy and broadcast, and we get great visuals and the whole bit. So that's kind of what I've been playing. I don't think I've played anything else except that right now. Although, like I say, as the cooler weather comes and as I get busier, I get more focused on my gaming. But right now, that's what I've been playing.
So Pittsburgh, Oakland, L.A., and Dallas. You can't get much more 70s football than that.
I picked Dallas to go to the Super Bowl. They're just unbeatable. I think they were 14-2 or something. They were just good. And I'm thinking it's going to be Miami or Oakland. I don't think Pittsburgh is going to get it done. I don't think New England's going to upset anybody and get to the finals. So I'm pretty sure that you're going to see. So I think the winner of that Miami-Oakland game is going to go to the finals. That's just what I'm thinking.
It's Madden's last year.
Yep, could be.
No, it was. 78 was Madden's last year.
But it could be in my replay, too. It could be his last year.
It will be his last year.
Just saying.
Okay, John. You should stop eating the doggy snacks, okay?
They're good. They're good. Doggy Snacks are good.
Okay, they're Robert Culp. You remember him? Because he actually did. He liked the taste of milk bones. So when they're doing the Greatest American Hero, he's munching on milk bones.
Oh, no kidding.
No kidding. So what have I been playing? Well, my 2001 in Action PC Season Odyssey starts the playoffs this week. And so it all came down to Florida and Atlanta for the last spot because Philadelphia choked away their chance to win the division. And so Saturday night special, Florida and Atlanta from Turner Field in Atlanta. And if Atlanta needs to win both games, all Florida needs is one. And so the perils of as played reared its ugly head. Now, I don't look at lineups ahead of time. I don't look at pitching matchups ahead of time. I have never changed a lineup in the 5 years that I've done this. I treat it as you go in, you show up, you set up for the game, and you call it. Okay? And granted, Atlanta had the division in real life all wrapped up at that point. So I set it up. So I decide, okay, I got two chances at this. I'm going to do run Florida for one game and Atlanta for the other. And I go, okay, I'll do Florida first. And if Atlanta needs me to if Atlanta wins, then I'll run Atlanta the last game of the season. Call up the lineups, get on the field, look to see who Atlanta is playing, and they have pretty much rested everybody. Like, oh, no. Great. Yeah, I already got a thumbs down on the video, by the way. And so, okay, I'm going to play Florida. Right? Yep. Florida is kind of in semi-rest mode because they weren't making it. But for Atlanta, they went with Jason Marquis, who was a regular starter and was getting his tune-up for whatever his playoff start would have been in the league divisional series. So I don't feel too bad because Marquis' numbers were good, and he should have given Atlanta 6. We all have that one player that pops up in the replay. You've had it in hockey. Someone who might have scored one goal or got his 15 penalty minutes in the same game or whatever it was. That one player that you've never heard of before that plays a major role in the game. And because the Marlins only needed to win one game to win, this obscure, not even a household name in his own house player pretty much wins the division for Florida. His name is Andy Fox, and he was the backup shortstop that year. And again, because Florida's out of it, so next to the last day of the season, he's at short, and I'm not changing any of the lineups around. And so he comes up with the bases loaded in the second inning, and it's already 2-0 Florida, or 1-0 Florida, and he clears the bases with a triple. And so we go from, okay, Atlanta can manage this, to, oh my goodness, I think it's over. And he made some sort of great play in the field, and I think he knocked him 2 in the ninth or something like that. And so here is this absolute scrub of a player, but he'll never have to buy a drink or a steak or a lobster in Miami ever again, because it was, I mean, you read stories like this all the time, or you see them in video. So it wasn't a video I showed you a while ago. Some player for the Blackhawks comes up late season from the AHL, scores on the power play or something like that.
The shot hit him in the leg of the stick and went in. He didn't even realize it.
Right. So he gets credit for the goal that knocks the Penguins out of the playoffs, out of the 8th spot this year, which enables Florida to make the playoffs. And because Chicago won that game, now they were knocked out of the guaranteed top spot for the draft lottery. They won the draft lottery anyway, but it's one of those who the heck is this guy type things, and just changed the history in 4 or 5 different cities just because he hit off his leg. Davis creating my voodoo doll right now. And so that's what Andy Fox was. So I had this whole elaborate thing. By the stadium in Atlanta runs Interstate 85. And I mentioned it in the open because whoever won the division needed to win 85 games. So here it is. Atlanta has a chance. Yeah, that went by the boards. So by the bottom of the second inning, I'm now managing Atlanta to try to get them to win. So one by one, I start pinch hitting and putting in the starters. They left on 13 runners. Managerial expert extraordinaire for baseball, Dave Gardner, comes into my chat and chastises me over a managerial decision that I made.
Well deserved. Yep.
Yeah, no. And so, so building up to this great dramatic finish over 2 days. No, it's done in 10 minutes.
That happens.
So my playoffs begin this week. To be real quick about it, 4 teams that made it in real life made my playoffs. The Yankees, the Mariners, Oakland, and Houston, I believe, all made it in real life. The 4 teams that didn't, the Giants, the Cubs are the NL wild card, Florida, and the White Sox, which won 100 games.
Oh, nice. Good for them.
The legitimate number 2 seed.
Yeah.
So that's a good balance. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be the first time I've done the playoffs where I didn't play out every game. When you go to a modern season,
there's so many more.
And I'm counting 2001 as a modern. I mean, this year would be ridiculous. The seasons I do mostly in my wheelhouse, either the LCSs are best of 5s or best of 7. So the most you're ever going to do is 21 games. If I played out every game and every series went the distance, it's 41 games. I'm not doing 41 different streams. So we'll compromise on that. We'll pretend they're on cable or something like that. So, but looking forward to it. I don't think that there's a definitive favorite in the National League, and that's the year the Mariners won 116 in real life. I think they won 110 in mine, and I don't know where their weakness is, but we'll have fun. So that's my focus for the next month. So
sounds like fun. Yep.
So that's pretty much what I played some strap basketball. That was fun. 79-80 Larry Bird. You could tell he was a rookie. Lots of bad shots. Lots of bad shots.
Wasn't quite there yet.
Wasn't quite there yet, but you can tell. You can tell it's coming. And so that's about. Working on some things to do with season and 2nd and 10. So that's pretty much what I've been doing.
Oh, nice. Well, all right. So as we get to the topic of the day?
Yes.
All righty. So it's going to be an uncomfortable topic to talk about, but I think it's something that we need to do. So let's talk about respecting others' opinions, okay? Now, these games, they're kind of like foods, for crying out loud, or restaurants. It's like, you might like this restaurant and I don't. You might like this food and I don't. I mean, I guess we could call it the pineapple pizza factor.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
There's some, and that seems to be the big divider with food. It's like, some people, oh, it's great, and other people, oh, it's you can't do that. It's the worst thing ever. And it's pretty deep divide with that right there. But I mean, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. It should be fine either way. But it seemed like that one side or the other has to impose their opinion on everyone else. And it's kind of the same with the gaming thing here, is that, and Ron and I go through this all the time, and we talk about it all the time. There's games that Ron really likes, and I'm like, man, this ain't doing it for me.
Right.
But I never tell him that he can't play it, or that he's wrong, or he's a bad person. Well, we know he's a bad person, but I mean, not a bad person for liking the game. And, and we never argue about it. And there's games that I play that I really like, and he's just like, yeah, that ain't working for me because I don't like this, that, and the other thing, and it's just too much of this and not enough of that. And sometimes we say, yeah, I can see how you'd feel this way, but it doesn't bother me. And there's other times it's like, no, I don't agree with you. I don't see your point of view, but whether I see your point of view or not, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You just don't like it. And am I supposed to sit there and argue with you to try to change your mind and get you to like it? No, it's not. All I can just say is, well, I'm sorry you don't like it. And maybe try it again every now and then. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't work, and whatever. But I mean, and this kind of happens out in the wild. And we see the people talking on all the different places that you can talk about games, and this is some heated discussions on, Game X or Company X. And it's just, there's no perfect game and there's no perfect company. Every company out there, whether it's a bigger company or it's a single individual that's producing a game, you've had good customer service, you've had bad customer service. It's just how it is. Even the best of the best out there, someone has a gripe about. Something didn't go well. Something might have happened. Maybe it was the company's fault or the person's fault, and maybe it wasn't. But what we can't do is get on there and spout off and then start this huge argument about it. It's better to have a discussion. Let's find out why you don't like this. Let's find out what happened. And so many times it happens where it's just like, I ordered a product and didn't get it for 3 weeks, or I didn't hear back, blah, 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 and this guy sucks and this company sucks, and everybody rushes in to bash the person. And it's like, well, let's talk this out. So what actually happened? Did you order this? Did you get the confirmation? Did you not? Did you check your spam folder? There's all these things we can do before we just throw company A or person A under the bus and they're the worst thing ever. You're not going to please everybody. We know that. There's not a restaurant in this country or in the world that everyone's been happy with all the time. There's always somebody that's got a bad review or something, Right. It could be that the person in the next table farted, and that's my bad review. It has nothing to do with the restaurant, but you didn't have a good time. And we're not going to change your mind. You just have a good time.
Go into a McDonald's and get a flat Sprite or something like that, you're going to complain about it or something.
I got a flat Diet Pepsi yesterday. I usually don't drink sodas anymore, but sometimes if I go out and I get like a hamburger, I was at this restaurant, and the Diet Pepsi was completely flat. And they changed it, and I come back, and it was still flat. It wasn't horrible, but it was like, it just wasn't that good. But so
the kids don't know how to use the tanks, and that's
I guess not. Yeah. So one of these things where just do I sit there and say this is the worst meal I ever had, or do I say, well, it really stinks that the soda was kind of flat and I didn't enjoy that too much.
I mean, you talk about pizza, and I've never been a person that doesn't like pizza. May not eat it 3 times a week or whatever, but everyone kind of likes pizza of some sort. But as you said, no two people can really ever agree on what they want on said pizza. We can compromise
on cheese. We can compromise on cheese.
We can compromise on cheese. And my wife and I, okay, for every meat you gotta get a veggie. I mean, that's pretty much our compromise with that, and we do. We've made it work. But, you and I joke back and forth about the pineapple on the pizza, and there's people who believe that should be on there, and there's those of us who realize that should never happen. But in all seriousness, I think for gamers, we all have developed our own style. What makes a game work for us? And so while you like pineapple on a pizza, it works for you. You like the kind of the contrast between the saltiness of the cheese and the meat and the sweetness of the pineapple. And I can understand where you're coming from that. I mean, there's these people who do the salted caramel stuff, which again is something that I personally don't like. But again, balance out the overly sweet with a little bit of salty just to have a balance. And with so many different games out there, which was not necessarily the case even 10 years ago, where you're going to go with you like this game because it fits your playing style. I like this game because it fits my playing style. Now, you and I are close friends. I can understand. I try to find things. If I see something that I think matches your play style, I'm going to mention them to you. I think you'll like this. But it doesn't matter whether I like it or not, because A, I've either tried it, B, I've seen it played, or C, I've tried some of the other offerings from said company and didn't necessarily. There's really nothing out there that I hate. I don't think I've ever played a game and said, I hate this. I understand that there are companies that I'll never give money to again, but I'm not going to talk about that here. But again, that's for my own thing, and I've always wanted to accentuate what it is that I do find enjoyment out of. And because of who we are, we've tried lots of different things. I mean, we talk about the food court thing. Okay, I'm going to take you over to the Thai restaurant. Do you like Thai? I'm not sure how much I like Thai. Well, here's this peanut sauce dish. Would you like to try it? Oh, I like that. That sort of thing.
I think that there's in every game that I've played, and there's some I just was one and done. It's like, yeah, there's always been something I did enjoy about every game, but not enough enjoyment, or there was just enough frustration or confusion, whatever you want to call it, that didn't get me back to playing that game ever again. And I'm not going to sit there and bash the game and say it stinks and this and that and the other thing, blah, blah, blah. There was just something about it that didn't quite work for me, or a lot of things that didn't work. But you're right. I don't think there's any games that I hate. There's not a game that I play that's like, boy, I hate this game, and blah, 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 and I'm going to throw it and, throw it in the trash. I don't think there's ever been a game like that, because the games are supposed to be fun, and there's always fun in every little game. Every game is some kind of fun.
Oh, absolutely.
But again, if it's frustrating to play, if it's just too difficult or too deep for me, or just the fun factor is just not there, then I just don't play it, and I play something that's a little bit more fun. There's a lot of games I play,
yes,
that are the fun factor before anything else,
right?
And and I'd like to think that they're, I hate the word accurate. I hate that word in this community. But I mean, the fun games, sometimes they might not be as statistically accurate as another game. But if this other game that's, quote, more statistically accurate because of X, Y, and Z is not as fun, I'm going to go with the fun game. And
right.
The example I'll give, and I will put one game out there, is the Momentum Football that I play from Downey Games. I love playing that game. It is a super, super fun game. However, the results I get out of that, I would say, are a little suspect. Not all the time, but the 76 Buccaneers should not beat the 76 Steelers ever in any game, no matter how. And the Buccaneers are 2-0 against those Steelers. I just find that game, and it also produces a lot of turnovers, Momentum Football. If you've
noticed from playing the 78 season, there's a lot of turnovers, period.
This is true. Yeah, there was too. But I just found it, like, compared to like a game-winning drive,
yes,
or Al Wilson's game, I don't get nearly the turnovers that I get in Momentum Football. And that's why the Steelers lost all those games to the Buccaneers, is because of just turnover. But that being said, I still play that game. I still bought some seasons during the Easter sale from Downey for Momentum Football. So for me, that fun factor is awesome. And I could have someone tear into me saying, why are you playing that game? Because if the Buccaneers beat the Steelers, that's so unrealistic. That game should be junk and this and that, and I should never, blah, blah. And you may be right. but I enjoy playing it, so I'm going to continue to play it. And again, if you attack the game or you attack me with your reply, then we're not going to have a discussion about it. Okay? The discussion's over because now we're in attack mode. And then that escalates. And then the escalation gets to a point where, people are, at each other's throats, and now, the on the Delphi, the admin's got to step in or whatever it is and try to separate everybody or give everybody a timeout, or, I don't know if there's a 30-day, whatever, cooldown.
I think it depends on the admin and the forum.
Yeah, so, stuff just escalates when you get nasty. So you need to, and the title of the show, respect others' opinions, okay? You could approach me and say, hey, Dave, I'm surprised you like that game because the Buccaneers shouldn't win that and whatever. And I will get back to you and say, you're absolutely right, but the mechanics of the game are just so fun and so simple. I just enjoy it despite having results like this. And we should be able to have that discussion without, you this and this game that, and how can you deal with this, and this would never happen, and just going into some kind of a tirade.
I think what happens is that someone tries out a game, likes a game, and it scratches their particular itch of their particular style. They're able to get whatever their favorite team is over the hump and to the championship, or they're able to understand a game at a level where it feels like it's not a simulation. It feels like the sport. We've talked about that with the games that make us feel like we are playing that sport as opposed to playing a game that simulates that sport. And that could bring up a whole nother discussion there, because what may make you feel like you're playing that sport, to me, may just feel like a word problem exercise in playing that sport. And, why do you want to play this? Because of that. And so it's tough because, what we do is so personal anyway. It's not like we've talked about before, you really can't talk to the spouse and go, I can't believe that Larry Boa hit a walk-off 3-run homer, and your wife is going to, or spouse is going to go, who in the world is Larry Boa? And you're talking about that stupid game again, okay? So immediately you're having an intimate conversation with yourself about whatever it is that made you go there, and then someone goes, I did this and did that and got this result, and I don't understand why I got this result, and I've never liked this game anyway, and that's when, hold me back, Marcia, hold me back, and here come the punches at that, because whether the person who is saying, I don't like X, is intending to, it just comes across, you've had this experience with this game that gives you exactly what it is you're looking for. When someone says wrong, then I think our first response is to say, you're wrong. Years ago, when I first got on a Delphi, about 25 years ago now, yes, I'll take door number 3, Monty. And it really was the never-ending argument about Strat versus Appa. And there were people on the Appa side, and there were people on the Strat side, and never do this, and how do you do that, and this doesn't do this, and that doesn't do that. And just by playing those games, there's two cold, hard facts, and you mentioned them earlier. There is no such thing as a perfect game. Even if you roll a perfect game, there is no such thing as the perfect engine. Whatever the flaws are, the more you play a game, the more obvious they're going to be. Can you work around, paper over the flaws and make it work for you? Yes, you've done that. I've done that. There's also no such thing as the perfect company. You get someone who has a sterling reputation for customer service. You catch them on a bad day. You might have sent them 4 emails while they're in line at the post office, or you're at the doctor's office or whatever, and you're going to get a snap back. Well, I wrote to Gardner about this, and Gardner took 2 weeks to get back to me. Well, Dave's in the hospital for a broken arm or something something that's not in your behavior. And so we all have opinions on games. and we all have opinions on companies. But it should not be a grit your teeth if someone says, "Oh, I love the game that someone else doesn't like." And again, I mean, there's a football game that I really like, and that Dave is kind of ambivalent about, I would say. Mm-hmm. Not anti the game, but ambivalent about. And we've had some conversations, and okay, it works for me because it fits the style of play that I enjoy, and it's a lot easier to share that at any game if you get into what the game's offering you. You know, to go to the football games that Dave likes, it doesn't matter whether I like the game or don't like the game. In fact, one of them I do enjoy. But if it's easier for him to like that game, it fits his play style better. And it would not be my place to say, don't do that. Why are you doing this? There's only one time I've ever jumped on him about a game, and it was much more about the money that was being spent than the type of the game that it was. And that's it. In 4.5 years, that's been the only time that I've ever go, yeah, what are you doing?
I think the two things, and you kind of were touching on this without saying the word, and I think maybe one of the words is emotion.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Is that we like a game, we, the community, individually, we like our certain games, and we're very emotional about that because, again, it ties us back to a time when we play our favorite players, the Larry Bowers back in the day, you know, whatever years it is that we enjoy playing our favorite players. And that game and those players speak to us, and it puts us in our happy place, and it's a very emotional thing. And when someone comes in and says, yeah, well, this game sucks because of this, I think we automatically go on guard. You know, we're Touche Turtle taking out the sword, and now we want to battle because you hurt our feelings because emotionally we love this game. Everyone should love this game, and now you're coming in bashing it. And so I think, you know, that happens a lot, is the emotions get to us about this. And the other thing is I think we're all kind of looking for the perfect game. So when we play a game and something doesn't go our way, we spout off about it. We as a community spout off, and that probably goes for every single game that I've ever played. There's someone that has spouted off about, well, this is unrealistic, and that's unrealistic, and this should have never happened, and this is not fun because of this. So we've all have had bad experiences in games, and we spout off about that. And I have too. I'm like, man, what are the chances that this happens? It's like I'm trying to play this game, and then, you know, 4 penalties in a row, 4 flags in a row, or, you know, this team's down by 3 men on the ice, blah, 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 blah. You know, and it's like, this would never happen, and this would never happen, and blah, 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 blah. And so I've spotted off myself about things, about individual bad experiences. You know, the way to handle that is when you come into these things, instead of just coming in guns a-blazing, just say, hey, I played this and this happened, and it kind of bummed me out. And it's a softer way of approaching.
But
this.
to be fair, you're talking about the ID Jester approach of just torching games that he doesn't like, you know, which we've all seen them. Yeah. And there are some times, I mean, look, you and I have dealt with enough game designers, maybe not to go in with the hard and pitchfork approach, but to say, you know, have you ever thought of A, B, and C? These designers, I mean, again, there's no Hasbros or Mattels or Activisions or EAs in this field.
Right.
It is even the bigger companies are a handful of people operations. So if you go through and say, look, here is why I don't like game X, the good designers, the good creators are going to look at that and either go, here's why I don't do what you're suggesting, or, good point, let me see what I can do.
Yep.
And because everyone wants you to enjoy the money that you've spent on the game, and the dirty little secret is that everyone plays everyone else's games, whether it's us or the designers. Not to take game ideas, but, you know, it's such a unique community that everyone plays too.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and everyone wants their product to be the best it can be. And they also understand that you're going to be playing their competitors' products as well. And as long as you can be a fan of 4 or 5 different games in a particular sport, there doesn't need to be a number one. You might find that you want to go easy one night and complex the next, and And
I think too that we got to realize that Strat is not APA, APA is not Strat, and it goes for any single game. I just kind of picked those two out of the hat. There is that you like this game because it does this, and you don't like this other game because it doesn't do this. Well, the other game is not that game. Okay, I like Strat because it does this. I don't like APA because it doesn't do this. Well, APA is not Strat.
Right.
And the same thing. I like APA because it doesn't do this, where Strat does, and I don't like that. Well, they're two different games, and that goes for any game I could pick out over here.
Closed engine, open engine arguments.
Yeah, some people can't stand the closed engines. They don't feel right about it. It's just this, that, and the other. They want to see everything that happens. I get that. I find that there's times that I really enjoy closed engines, and there's other times that I much prefer open engines. I guess it all depends on my mood and the game. I'm playing the pro strategy football right now, and there's nothing open about that. I'm just picking the play, and I'm rolling the dice, and I am having a blast with it.
And you're having a great time.
And there's other times
you're having an absolutely great time.
And there's other times I want to see what's going on. Why did this happen? And you like to see the dice roll and look at the charts and get that to happen. But I think it comes down to the poster who puts the initial post somewhere. I get that we're emotional, and sometimes a lot of the internet is very negative. And so you get on there and like, hey, blah, 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 game A, this, the game A, that, game A, this, company A, this, blah, 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 blah. Well, you come in guns a-blazing, and then you're going to get the people that are going to come in and defend the game, That's just kind of human nature. Because there's people that absolutely love this game, and you're talking it down, and they don't like that. So they're going to come in and try to set you straight. And then that's when bad things kind of can happen and things get out of control. So on the poster, if you come in and just say, hey, I did this and it's not sitting well with me. Okay? Now the onus is on the replier. So if someone comes in and blasts the game out as a replier, if you blast them back, it's just going to go back and forth. There's going to be no solution.
And what gets lost is that chances are the designer of the game is going to see that and then kind of has to wade through the food fight to get to it. Whether it's I suppose, I don't want to say there's no such thing as unlegitimate criticism. I mean, it may or may not be constructive criticism, but if you have a point, and especially if you make a point not to get personal with it, obviously emailing the designer is probably the best way to go about that. And they want to hear from you. They really do. Everyone wants their products to be the best that they can. But if they got to wade through the salad bar fight just to get to whatever it is, they're probably going to be less inclined to do anything.
And a lot of times, by the time they probably get to there, this thing's gone back and forth 17 times, and now it's all personal, and you're a jerk, and you're an idiot, and you don't know what you're talking about, and, get off my lawn. It just escalates to a point where now you can't have a rational discussion. And a lot of times that's what happens too. And so I think, as the replier, your reply to a post, whether it's a flaming post or whether it's a nice post, that has a lot to do with it too. Because if you could just get back to somebody and say, okay, well, tell me more, or, boy, that's really weird that happened because that hasn't happened to me, or, yeah, that's kind of how this game is, but, I tend to still, overlook this and play the game because I still enjoy enough of the game that that's not a problem. So we need to have more discussions on stuff because it's emotional. We have our bad experiences, and we want the games. We play these games because we want to have fun, and when we don't have fun, that's when we spout off. But again, not that we need confirmation bias all the time, but neither do we need to have the Hatfields and the McCoys here.
Right.
And the one thing that can happen, and that I think we all can kind of see this happening and agree on. I would think that if you complain about a game and you get dogpiled on a post, wherever it is on the internet, chances are you're done with that game. That game that the community has now wrecked that game for you. So instead of welcoming you in and saying, okay, let's see if we can fix some of your problems here, you talk bad about Game B, and the Game B community dogpiles you, and now you're just, okay, washing my hands of this game. I want nothing to do. I'm out of this group. I'm taking my ball and going home, and I'm going to go play a game that I don't get dogpiled on because I found an issue with. So, the white knighters, they can cause a lot of problems too by coming in and just jumping all over somebody because they have an issue with the game. Okay?
The other thing I want to touch on is any computer-based game that works with any artificial intelligence. It would be impossible for every situation to be tested. Just saying that in general. And so while you think that you may have the right idea for whatever it is in any given situation, let's just take a basic one. If you, with less than 2 outs in a tie game in baseball in the ninth inning and the winning run is on second, the smart play is to walk the batter to load the bases to set up the double play. The computer may not have been given that instruction to do so. And so because the programmer and AI person are generally the same person. I know that I'm going to bring in Pro Strategy Football only because Kerry freely admits that he's the one that programs the AI in that game. Now, again, I bring up a very basic situation where, you walk the bases loaded to set up the double play, but you have to tell the computer that in the language. And when you're working on 17,000 other bugs in the new game, you might not have gotten back to walk the bases loaded when the winning run is on second base. Or why doesn't an AI in baseball look at seasonal situation or playoff situation? Because you have to instruct it. Okay? And so it makes it very difficult. It's a valid issue. Well, in a game in April, you're going to do X. But in a game in October, you got to do Y because your season's on the line. And again, you can't program. Do you want your AI to be playing October ball in April? Or what? There's a mix and a match, and you can bring that up to the designer and say, why didn't this do A, B, or C? But again, it's an imperfect science. Although it's all computerized, it's still an imperfect science, and it's, I think, up to you as a player to go, can you configure this? And the answer may be no. But again, there is no such thing as a perfect game.
There was somebody in the community that not that long ago, and I don't remember if it was somebody we had on the show, if it was a developer or just a game player, but somebody in the community said, you got to keep in mind, this is a game that we're playing. It's a game, and games have limitations.
Yes.
And games are not going to do everything perfectly. And I forget who it was that said that. I do apologize. But when they said that, it made a lot of sense. It's like we are playing a game, whether it's a computer game or a cards and dice game. This game is written out. You have your instructions, and it's they did the best they could to incorporate as much as the game as they could to make this a fun game. But it's not going to account for every single thing that can happen in said game. And so we have to realize it's a game we're playing.
And as much as I'd love to play a game that has the 86 Red Sox beat the 86 Mets to get that World Series back, doesn't matter. It's not changing what happened in real life.
No, it doesn't change anything about it. We might, have a fun time if they did that, and it makes our day for a little while. Hey, the Red Sox won, just and that. But
right,
yeah,
but it doesn't change anything.
It's like reading a book. You can read a book and you can change the ending if you want, but it ain't going to change anything. You're just reading the book. You're reading it. It's your enjoyment only. And it ain't going to matter to you. It ain't going to matter to the guy next door what happened in your game or what happened if you're reading that book. So I guess just what we want to get at is that, I know we get emotional about what we play. When we have bad experiences, we spout off. It's what we do because we get mad. And I know that we also like to protect the games that we like. We like to defend them and say, hey, look, you're wrong because this, that, and the other thing. But I think we need to do a better job of having discussions. And again, getting back to respecting others' opinions, okay?
Yes.
So you have a problem in the game. Let's talk about it. Maybe we solve it, and maybe we don't. Maybe it's too far gone for person A to like game B. And it's like, well, that's too bad, but that's kind of how the game is. So maybe it's just not the game for you. Instead of people trying to beat you over the head telling you how you have to play this game because it's the best game ever. And that you're a bad person if you don't play this game. So I think we all need to do a better job respecting others' opinions. But again, if you want to come in to whatever internet room we're in and start being a jerk, either as a poster or as a replier, you're not going to get anywhere. It's just going to turn into a personal attack, and nothing ever gets solved. And now you got a big divide going on, and you got the people sticking up for the game, people sticking up for the poster, people sticking up for the replier, and it just divides us. And it's to a point where just you wash your hands of a game. And now you'll never play that game again because of what you experienced with talking about that game. And you're like, this is not worth it. I had a problem with the game, and this is what I get when I talk about it. I'm going to go play something else, and then you're done. And you don't want that. You'd like to kind of solve the problem for the person if possible. Now, again, if they're coming in being a jerk, that's a little different too.
Right.
But sometimes it's kind of like, my wife's in customer service, and she tells me stories, and people call up on the phone, where's my order? And I ordered this 3 days ago, and then they sent me an email, blah, 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 blah,
yeah, I did retail for 10 years.
Yeah.
I know.
And so when she's done with it, she can do one or two things. She can say, well, you're the biggest jerk ever, and hang up the phone. And now that escalates to, I want to talk to your manager. Or she could say, okay, well, let's look into this. Okay, I didn't personally handle your order, so what do you got? Let's see if we can figure this out. And you try to work with the person all the time. And I have that too in my job. I get people screaming and yelling at me, over hockey stuff. And then the next day it's like, okay, we've all calmed down now. So what's going on? How can we fix this? And 90% of the time, or 99% of the time, you get through and you say, okay, listen. But if everyone's throwing daggers and yelling at each other, nothing gets solved. And it just makes it worse. But when everybody calms down, we talk about it, then, okay, yeah, I should have done this different. Yeah, and I probably should have done this different too. So let's see if we can come together and fix it. And that's kind of how it needs to be. So I think we need to just kind of respect each other's opinions, realize that not everyone's going to like every game, and that's perfectly fine. And not everybody's going to like every company, and that's perfectly fine. And that you're going to have good experiences and bad experiences. Everyone's going to have different experiences with different things, and it's not always good, and it's not always bad.
Exactly.
Even the worst game and the worst company or worst game developer out there has had good experiences with people. That's just how it is, And again, as a game developer or person out there, I would imagine you wouldn't want to have, bad experience with customers because they're going to tell two friends and they're going to tell two friends and no one's going to want to deal with you. So I don't know why that would happen, but it does happen. Like you said, people have bad days, computers crash, people get sick, sometimes as a customer, maybe you can be the problem. And we've all seen those videos on YouTube or TikTok or wherever where the customer is being completely unrealistic. And that happens too. So again, let's just again, this is something we haven't wanted to talk about this for a long time, but I think it kind of it's something that was well overdue to talk about. Let's just respect each other's opinions. And Ron and I have many gaming opinions that don't line up, and we talk about that all the time.
Nor should they. I mean, if we.
But I mean, it's like we've never ever gotten into such a heated argument over a game ever that I can think of.
No.
Because first of all, it's a game. It's a game. Okay, it's not. We're not talking about somebody's health or somebody's whatever. It's a game we're playing, and it's just sometimes he's like, "Hey, I don't like this game because this that blah blah blah," and I'm like, "I love the game," and we don't call each other names. It's just okay. And sometimes we talk about it. Sometimes we calmly say, "Well, what don't you like?" And we talk about it. And sometimes well, try it again and try it this way. And there's times that you've tried a game, it's like, oh, geez, I did it this way. It's so much better. And you've done the same with me. Like, well, try this. It's like, holy cow, now that I'm doing it like this, yeah. And there's other times that we've tried it and it didn't work. And that's okay. Right. You don't have to like every game.
There's one game in particular that I'm not real wild about that I wish you'd play more.
And, maybe I would go back and give it a try again. I would.
Yeah. So.
But, I mean, it's
again,
but you're not going to get me to try that game if you got all over my case about it.
Or
you know what I mean? If you're nice about it, then you're like, hey, Dave, let's talk about that. Why don't we run through this together and see if we can get you to play this game? But if you're like, well, you're such a jerk, Dave, you don't play this game. Right. Everyone loves this game, and you must be the idiot. No, that's not going to get me to play that game.
Oh my gosh, no! In fact, that just kind of digs in the line even more.
Yeah, exactly.
So appreciate the fact that everyone has different styles of the way that they play.
Yeah. That's all it is that, even Ron and I, we've been doing the show over 4 years now, and there's still things that we disagree on as far as when it comes to gaming. And that's perfectly fine. It doesn't mean that we're going to sit here and argue all day about it, about who's right and who's wrong, because there is no right and no wrong.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You either like it or you don't. It's like food. You like it or you don't. And it's funny when you talk about the pineapple pizza, and we'll kind of come full circle and wrap this up, is there's some people that love pineapple and love pizza, but won't put the pineapple on the pizza, right? But I do. But I have foods. Yeah. But I have foods that I like. I like food A and food B, but I can't have them together either. And it makes no sense. If you like food A and food B, why don't you want to mix them together? No, I can't. These particular foods, I do not want touching each other. And I, off the top of my head, I don't know what they are, but I know there's been some that I'm like, yeah, no, this is not what you have with this,
But, to finish up the pizza thought, I think we all have certain expectations of what pizza should be, which is why there's so many different styles of pizza. Mm-hmm. Chicago versus New York, chain versus local, topping A versus topping B. And if you put 100 people together outside of maybe cheese and pepperoni, that's about the only two things you're probably going to get a majority of people to agree with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So anyway, so that is that. Before we head out, let's get to our 3 stars of the week. All righty. So in episode 197, our 3rd star is Turbocharged.
Woohoo!
Thank you so much for being a Patreon member and contributing to the show. Thank you so much. Our number 2 star, someone we haven't heard from in a while, but we heard from him the other day. We hope he's doing okay. I really enjoyed his stuff on YouTube, but thank you for supporting the show. Patch83.
Yay! Go, Habs, go!
Yeah, he was a guest on the show a little while back. I miss his hockey stuff on there, but I guess he's been busy doing some other things. But just want to let you know that we're thinking of you, and we appreciate you so much supporting the show. And our number 1 star, brand new Patreon this week, our number 1 star here in episode 197 is Edward Ewing.
Yay!
Edward, thank you so much. Saw that email come through today, and it means a lot to us that you're listening to the show and you're helping us support the show. Oh, and I got to get back to him with the Patreon. I mean the Discord as well.
The Discord.
Yeah, I got to send him the Discord email when we're done today too. So I will send that over as well. But thank you so much. So those are our 3 stars of the week. So let's wrap this thing up.
Mm-hmm.
All right, are you going to hit the right button this time? I put you in charge of the buttons, and you hit the wrong button.
Yeah, because they're not right next to me.
All right, I will hit the button.
Hit the button.
All right, you've been listening to
don't bug Aunt Becky like that again in the library, okay?
You've been listening to the Digital to Dice podcast. This has been episode 197. We talked about respecting others' opinions. There's ways to go about posting and replying to other people's opinions and concerns about games. And let's just all try to get along. And again, if you're nice to people, maybe they'll come around and like the game after all. All right, ways to get a hold of us. DigitalToDice.com is the website. DigitalToDice.com is the website. 978-751-DICE is the text line. DigitalToDice@yahoo.com is the email. And over on Facebook, Facebook.com/groups/DigitalToDice. And if you'd like to become a Patreon member and jump into our Discord and chat with us, like Edward did, get over to Patreon, patreon.com/digitaltodice. And we have a $2 option and a $5 option if you'd like to help support the show as we has finished up year 4, and now we're on year 5.
Year 5.
And I do need to start planning the show 200. I really, really do. I've been just this summer. I hasn't done much. I haven't played much gaming, but I do need to plan
That's false coming.
Yeah, I know. Hopefully things will cool down and you'll be more focused. But anyway.
Yeah.
All right. I am Dave.
I'm Ron.
Talk to everybody later.
Bye-bye.